Hello, Namaskar. I am JBN Dr. Sahnwaz Alam, Assistant Professor of Jyoti Vidyapeeth, Women's University, Jaipur. Today we discuss about most important concept of research methodology. Today's topic is research process. Before embarking on detail of research methodology and technique, it seems appropriate to present a brief overview of research process. Under this, we include all the step that step involved during the research. Research process consists of a series of action and step necessary to effectively carry out research and the desired sequencing of these steps. The research process indicates consists of a number of closely related activity. We can show with the help of flowcharts. In flowcharts, first step to last step. First step is research problem and review of literature. Then after the review of literature, we taken the some techniques, and after the choosing and appropriate formulating the techniques, we collect the data, analyze the data, and concluding. But such activity overlap continuously rather than flow a strictly prescribed sequence. At times, the first step determines the nature of last step to be undertaken. If sequence procedure have not been taken into account in the early stage, serious difficulties may arise which may even present the competition of the study. One should remember that the various steps involved in research process are not naturally exclusive, nor they are separate. They do not necessarily follow each of others in any specific order, and the research has to be anticipating at each step in the research process the requirement of the sequence steps. They do not necessarily follow each step a specific order, and researcher has to maintain the steps. However, the following order concerning various steps provide the useful procedure guideline. First step is formulating the research problem. Second, extensive literature survey. That means at that part we include the literature review. Researcher review the literature of the available literature and previous research finding. Third is developing the hypothesis. That means After the choosing the problem, researcher decide the have decide or formulating the objectives and hypothesis of research, hypothesis of research, and objective of research in the light of problem. Formulating the objective of research in the light of research problem and formulating the hypothesis of research in terms of null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis in terms of objective of research. And fourth step is preparing the research design. That means the after the formulations of research hypothesis, preparing the design of the research, that is the roadmap of research work. And after the design the research work, next step is determining the sample design. That means that decide the population and decide the sample size. After the deciding the population and sample size, collect the data in the terms of primary and secondary. After the collection of appropriate data in the light of objective of research, hypothesis of research, and problem of research. And next is execution of project. And then analyze the data, testing the hypothesis, and generalization, interpretation, and reports. Preparation of report or presentation of result and formal write up the conclusions. Each step of research process we can explain in detail. First step was the formulating the research problem. There are two types of research problem, those which relate to the states of nature and those which relate to relationship between variable. That means there are two types of problem involved in research work. One is natural and one is based on variable, that showing the relationship between the two or more than two variable. At the very outset, the research must single out the problem he wants to study. He must decide the general area of interest and or aspect of subject matter that he would like to unique. Initially, problem may started in broad general way and then relating to the problem be solved. Then the feasibility of a particular solution has to be considered before working formulation of the problem can be set up. The formulation of general topic into a specific research problem thus constitute the first step in scientific inquiry. Essentially, two steps are involved in formulating the research problem: understanding the problem thoroughly and rephrasing the same into meaningful terms from analytical point of view. The best way of understanding the problem is to discuss it with one colleagues, expert, with those having some expertise in the matter of. In academic institution, the researcher can seek the help from the guide who is usually experienced man and has several research problem in mind. Often, the guide puts forth the problem in general terms, and it is up to researcher to narrow it down and face the problem in operational terms. In private business unit or in general organization, the problem is usually embarked by the administrative agency with whom the researcher can discuss as how the problem originally come about, what considerations are involving in possible solution. The researcher must at the same time examine all available literature to get himself selected the problem. He may review two types of literature, the conceptual literature concerning and the concept and theories, and then empirical literature considering of a study made previously which are the similar to the one proposed. The basic outcomes of the review will be the knowledge as to what data and other material are available for operational purpose, which will enable the researcher to specify his own research problem in meaningful context. After this, the research refines the problem into analytical or operational terms to put the problem in a specific term as so possible. This task of formulating, defining a research problem is a step a greater importance in entire research process. The problem to be investigated must be defined, for that will help to determining the relevant data or irrelevant one. Carry must how be taken verify the objectively and validity of the background fact concerning the problem process. The statement of objective is of basic importance because it determines the data which are to be collected, the characteristic of the data which are relevant, relation which are to explore, the choice of techniques to be used in the exploration, and the form of the final report. If there are certain time terms, the same should be yearly defined along with the task of formulating proof. In fact, formulating of the problem often follow the sequence pattern where a number of formulations are set up. each formulation more specific than the preceding ones. Each one phases in more analytical terms and such more tentative in terms of available data and resources. That means, in conclude, we can say that the research problem is the foremost step that give the idea idea for formulation the objectives and formulating the hypothesis and what happened in the whole study of research work. In next video we will discuss the next step of research work. Thank you.